I'm in beautiful Shasta Lake, California, and if you look straight in front of us, you'll see Mount Shasta, and it's only late in the year like this. It's September 7th, 2013, when you see that little bit of snow on the mountain. It's a very large lake, but this is a small snippet of it right here. I'll try to swing the camera around so you can see what we got here. A lot of people having fun on their boats out there. We'll go around here and you can see some of the sights here. Got a beautiful lawn and treat area here. And there we go, there's Mount Shasta again in the background. See, this is, again, it's September 7, 2013, and I just wanted to talk a little bit today about current affairs and about Christianity a little bit. You know, Jesus made a statement a long time ago, as we all know, when he walked the earth, and he said that, "Be ye as shrewd as serpents, yet as innocent as doves." And back then, the word shrewd meant to be evil. So why would Jesus tell his followers, his disciples, anybody today that calls themselves a Christian is purportedly, supposedly a follower, a disciple of Jesus. Now why would he tell his disciples to be evil? Mainly, he did this so that they would be aware and they would know the extent of evil that was controlling this world that we live in. And by knowing the extent of the evil, they wouldn't be as likely to be caught off guard by it and fall into the snare. And today we see a lot of people, unfortunately, have fallen into the snare of evil. And I believe a lot of it is unwitting. They don't know they're in the snare, but they are. If they're trusting in the system, if they're trusting in the establishment, in the way of doing things, the status, things like the stock, things like their investments, those things are teetering at this point, and everybody knows. Everybody knows that solutions to the problem are opposite of what the want. Because if we start solving problems, it's rendered irrelevant. And if it's rendered irrelevant, they won't have jobs. They won't be needed. And this is part of being as shrewd as serpents and as innocent as doves. Because when you understand these, you'll be empowered. You'll say, I'm not going to be a part of this system. This is a vile, evil system. And I'm not going to trust in it. I'm not going to believe in it. I'm not going to be invested in it. I'm going to be ready to say, you know what? If Jesus returns tomorrow, great. Because this is what every Christian is supposed to be prepared for. Your last day on earth could be today, and you don't get to see this happen. But if you're lucky enough, and a lot of people that are living in this generation, I believe, are going to be the ones that are going to see this. In the meantime, we've got to get through what is referred to as the tribulation period. Tribulation just means trouble. There's going to be a lot of trouble between now and when things turn around. Because all the forces of this world, all the people that support the status quo and the establishment, system at large, and this system working for them, the last thing they want is some claim is returning, changes their fortune. They're forced into seeing things the way they really are. And the way they really is exceedingly unjust. And with each passing day, they get more unjust. Everybody knows society is on a collision course. And what's our hope? Is our hope another bloody revolution against the people that have brought this upon the populations of the world, not just America, but all over the place? They have pillaged and plundered and been very successful. And at this point in history, they have an extremely conscience, so they're very paranoid. They want to set up agencies like the TSA, the NSA, Homeland Security. They want to crack down on the general public because they know they've done wrong, very wrong. And they know that they've got it coming. And they're afraid of the people at large, when the truth is they don't need to be. But these people are touch. They're not as smart as they think they are. They think by being shrewd that they're smart. Realize that by being shrewd, they're evil. That's a difference between somebody that's enlightened and somebody that's not. Because Jesus didn't finish with telling us to be shrewd, he said be innocent as doves. So the weapons they've used against the general public, like indebtedness, is something we can't use on them. We don't have that power. We don't have the money magic, the ability to just print currency willy-nilly and just purloin whatever we feel like. And most decent people wouldn't want to do it if they had the opportunity. So these people are irrational. They've got no basis for worrying about but it's their own conscience coming through. They're being true to them by being paranoid, by being in a defensive posture, because just like the bully on the playfield, eventually, good whooping, that he deep down in his heart knew he had coming. So this world order group, the hyper wealthy, let's say, that have manipulated humanity into this paradigm, to where very few people really understand the degree of which we have fallen. And my concern now is that this thing's got legs, it's got inertia, it's got momentum. It doesn't want to stop. It wants to continue this rising tide of death through economic oppression. They tell us we're free in America, but if you're being oppressed, it's not freedom. Look it up. And my whole life, 55 years, I've watched an increasing disparity between haves and have-nots. The last president that had the courage to stand up against the people that need to be stood up against, these top bankers, the Federal Reserve Bank, which is more federal than Federal Express delivery service, JFK, he tried to make them irrelevant. He signed into law Executive Order 11,110 that would have effectively nullified their power, and we would have supplanted the currency they provided us with silver notes, which were already in circulation when JFK was president. Well, these rulers didn't have that, you understand? They weren't competing currency that actually worked. It created a rising tide of prosperity that was shared across the board with all the people. And anybody deserves a rising tide of prosperity. The people at the bottom of the economic rung. They're busting their ass day in and day out, keeping the wheels of society running. You know, the common worker. And yet we're all told that the only valuable people out there are with higher education. Yet let me ask you, who's been running the system? Who's being appointed to these offices? Is it not the highly educated ones that have done this to us? So I ask you, will it ever work? I ask you, suppose we all had PhDs in our chosen field of interest. Does that in any way negate the fact that we need strawberry pickers and truck drivers and nail pounders and water service providers and people working at the factories? No, It doesn't. So you tell me what the answer is. Let's say we really had somebody in charge of our financial institutions that was being fair, and you start seeing all the problems disappear, starting with warfare. If you disincentivize these people, if you say, we're taking the profit out of that, okay? No private profit for warfare, none. Any benefit from selling armaments would go into the treasury for people, not to a private group of banking interests. It disincentivizes criminals. If you have most of the crimes being committed because of financial desperation, let me ask you, how many crimes are going to be committed when you take away the desperation, the financial desperation? In other words, people are born with a share in the planet. For the brief time that they're here, they get to share in what is rightfully theirs. It is rightfully mine and yours, his and hers, as it is anybody else's. Since we're passing through, we can never really own anything. We can only use things. And then when we die, someone else is going to use those things. It's very obvious that the people running things don't want the general public to figure these things out. If you understand that poverty is invented, these people, they invent problems where none exist in order to benefit. These are control freaks. That's part of the love of money. We love about money so much. That's from you and I, our love to survive, to pay our bills, to put food on the table, to pay for the roof over our head. Okay? What is their problem? Why feel like they've got to control everything? They're usurpers. That's because they hate all that is good. They know the truth. They know that I'm telling you the truth. It's all very simple. Economics is rocket scientist. Not rocket science. It is very simple to understand. In order to have sound currency, you need checks and balances. You can never have sound currency without checks and balances. And check and a balance is a rule and a regulation that benefits not some but all. Wages would be a perfect check and balance. They're not allowing that. This is how the disparity has happened. Because wages stay here, the cost of living keeps going up, wages go up a tiny bit, and they fall back down with hyper competitiveness, this dog-eat-dog society. They keep shipping in hungry immigrants that say, you guys don't know how good you have it. So our standard of living can to be diminished by these policies. Well, you hear a whisper about job creation. Any country that has excess immigration. No, they don't want the problem solved. They are bidding for the problem. They're gaining world control through trickery, cheating people. That's what the whole scam is about. I mean, if I own the printing press of the currency and I can just print up as much as I want at any time, I mean, what security does that give you? Doesn't that give me a huge advantage? Yet that's the system we live in. It's run by a bunch of criminals. Okay, these are a murderous gaggle of thugs. And if you ask these people, you set down very top criminals that are influencing our colleges and our universities, the main force in all the propaganda in the mainstream media, okay? You sat them down and said, listen, you have two choices. You can keep your wealth, your lot in this world, but half the population of the earth has to die. Now, how many of those people do you think surrender their lot, their wealth in this world in order to save, 0.5 billion plus people? Well, I got to tell you, I believe very few, especially knowing people are overt doers. You'll find them over there in Bohemian Grove near Santa Rosa, worshiping Satan. Essentially, they have satanic rituals. And this ceremony they call the cremation of prayer. It amounts to hatred of your conscience. They want to destroy their own conscience because it nags them day and night because they've done wrong. They've done very wrong.